Welcome to part 5 of the Sarpedon campaign, Abridged. In the previous part, we won our war for Crete and our war for the islands, but a whole bunch new wars started when everything kicked off between the Trojans and Greeks in general. So now, Sarpedon is stuck on the Greek mainland, having taken a random base, and on Crete we had a decisive battle with our new Spartan enemies controlling the left side of the island, and we lost it. Although in the process of losing it, we did damage one of their nearby armies and garrisons, so to start off this part, we're going to want to try and do a recovery attack. If we attack them as soon as possible, stuff won't have replenished fully. So here you can see we fight a weakened force as we attack this town, and we're able to just take them out. With that, the result of the war is now evened out a bit, because both sides have lost an army and they've lost a territory, but the army they lost wasn't as good as mine, so perhaps it's even-ish at the moment. But of course we can see they have another army over there, and they do have 4 or 5 extra towns as well. That means they'll probably spam some more armies. We've still got plenty more to do in that area. As for Sarpedon, I wanted to storm forwards and take some Mycenaean territory, thinking they might not be here since we attacked so suddenly. That is not the case though. They're totally here and they've got everything locked down. They've got a big army in that settlement on the other side of the mountains, and a small army with a decent garrison in this walled settlement. Either of them would be a challenge to take down, and most likely what we had left after the battle could be taken out by the other army we didn't attack. So a very dangerous situation. I spent a while trying to work out what we could possibly do here, thinking of doing ambushes or something, some kind of siege draw out plan somewhere maybe. Then I realized we can get peace with these guys if we just give them Troyzen back. That region trade convinces them to end the war. So with this, we can just get out of this awkward situation. We can even get some resources along the way. And that's really great, because one of the major factions against us is taken out of the conflict, and Sarpedon is going to be safe for the next turn or so at least. With Sarpedon, we're going to leave the area after this and go back to my original plan of attacking Sparta. Also grabbed a random peace treaty with some faction up here that's about to die. That's more extorted resources, looking good. We're pretty rich for resources. We have more than we need, because I can't really upgrade my territory much more. I just need more food production to have more units, and that's going to mean we need more territory first. Now, in Sparta's turn, their army on Crete goes to attack this place that we recently colonized. Our garrison's kind of a similar size to their army, but it's just much worse, so we have nothing on the balance bar, and because of that I'm going to give this up in auto-resolve. Took the chance to spy out some of their units. They've got some things we haven't seen before, and some units with a decent amount of experience as well. There is a building in the game that just gives experience to armies that stand around, so that's perfect for the AI when it's just waiting with its army doing nothing. They're going to get leveled up in some cases. You'll see random armies have tons of experience for no reason, like this one most likely, with loads of silver, 3 silver Chevron experience units. Pretty powerful stuff, storming one of our islands. Of course this was inevitable, we're not really defending the island, so anyone who wants to send an army out can grab some free territory offers, and these guys here from the Greek mainland appear to be doing just that. We're just going to have to give up these territories. In this case they actually raised it, so at least they didn't gain anything from it. Now Sarpedon, as I said, is going to head to the south, because I do want to try and focus down Sparta in tandem with the action on Crete. We have no intelligence at all on what's over here, but the hope is a lot of their stuff will have left to go and attack us, so we'll just now attack them. Obviously that's also what I hoped with the Mycenaeans, and that didn't work, but we're going to try it again. So we'll sail south and go to the end of that peninsula we saw there to attack Etis. Meanwhile, back on Crete, I wanted to quickly besiege the army that just took our territory here before they start recruiting new units or anything like that. Annoyingly, the garrison has mostly replenished. More than half of it is alive, despite being killed to the last man only 1 turn ago. That garrison replenishment is super strong, could probably nerf that a bit. Anyway, so that means we can't overpower the army inside. We're going to have to set up for a siege, and as we saw there, I'm also building a new second army with some decent units. Unfortunately, we won't get a chance to use them for this bit of the conflict, because the enemy do sally out and give us a field battle. We have Zeus on our side apparently, which is great because that gives a bonus to javelin units, and we have quite a few javelin units. Those harpies, being quite powerful, are really the core of this army. That's where our killing power lies. So that's been enhanced. Otherwise, a pretty balanced engagement. we have the advantage of being the defender, so I can set up next to these big cliffs to protect my flank. And my big play is going to be having a bunch of things hidden on the other side of the cliffs, ready to sweep around and rear attack the enemy. Because they have a lot of ranged units, they don't actually need to come over and attack me. They stand at a distance and start slinging away. So that's going to damage my plan, and damage my units a little bit. I at first considered standing there and just tanking all of their ammo on our shield guys, but then I thought, no, let's just run forwards and get the fight going. And here it is, the two sides charge into each other. Not really sure about all these melees, probably not going to go all that well. We need our reinforcements to come in for that rear attack to make this nice and juicy. The issue is going to be here that the battles are so short in the game. Is there time for these units to actually run over there before it's all over? We're already seeing some big damage on the enemy though, because my harpies are getting to work. Harpies are kind of like an archer unit that does triple damage, or they have the range of archers with the damage and armor piercing ability of javelins. Meaning once they start throwing, stuff starts dying pretty fast, or at least stuff starts losing health really fast, and that lowers their morale. So we're already doing a lot in these fights. We're also losing in the melees, but that's fine. And as the enemy start to lose their ranged units, that leaves a clear path for our stuff from the rear attack to hit their melee units in the back, including this giant charge here. The giants, curiously, were the fastest of our units. I expected them to be the slowest, but they came out way ahead of everything else. There you can see a volley of harpy jabs just annihilating some enemy range stuff in seconds. Super powerful, and with that huge range, they're not very vulnerable to counterfire either. Now things are starting to go our way, as all of our axemen in the rear attack group come in as well and destroy the enemy's morale. That balance bar is going to swing in our favour, and that's the end of the battle really. I did play on through the rout phase to maximise enemy kills, including the defeat of their commander. They had a level 7 guy, but he didn't die actually, he was just wounded, so we might have to kill him again at some point. Still, ended up being a great fight. Tons of kills on those harpies. Some of the frontline infantry appeared to have kills, although that will be because they chased enemies off the field in the rout phase for the most part. You can see the enemy armies really dead after that fight. We'll grab a tiny bit of replenishment, and that's going to effectively be the end of that siege now that there's very little left. They've got another cheeky move to pull though. At the nearby town, they attack with 2 generals and 1 unit of axemen. Unfortunately, we don't have the AI hacks that allow our garrisons to appear really quickly, so the garrison here is still pretty much dead from the recent fighting. I was not happy with that balance bar though. I thought surely 2 guys and an axe unit can't do that much damage to this force. We do have a hero at half health to use to try and block one of their heroes. As for their axes, I hit them in the front with some stuff and in the back with some jabs, hoped that might take them out. Got some slingers trying to hit them as well. Another slinger unit's just going to distract that other hero so he doesn't participate in the fight until it's over, thinking I might be able to quickly win this and turn the tables. The issue is their hero is going to be able to defeat my hero just due to having a lot more health, and we didn't win that melee fight. The axes ended up killing everything, even with the jabs raining on them unfortunately, so that was that. At least they don't actually take the town, they just sacked it, a big mistake. They also make a second mistake after this, which we won't see. They moved one of the heroes and the unit of axemen to be near this town that I'm about to auto-resolve, so they end up being involved in this fight and dying as a result. Handy. I think if we did that manually they probably would have routed away and survived, so that was a good auto-resolve. Everything's dead, and now I considered doing a loot and occupy, because that replenishment would be quite nice. It would allow us to just rush off as soon as possible to try and counterattack some stuff. In the end went for an occupy because we're going to grab some replenishment sitting here anyway, and the looting option means we have to spend resources on repairs and it's more likely to rebel. So this is the safe and steady route, I guess. There's some good news for Sarpedon as well, because on his way to Sparta he encounters a half stack in the sea of pretty good troops. They were in the fast movement stance, so they're debuffed and they just die instantly in battle. Grabbing the replenishment option afterwards takes us back to pretty much full strength. So that was just a free win, 1 enemy army taken out of the picture. And now we continue on our way. We successfully land in Sparta's territory and start moving south towards my first target, that town in the fog of war. I should mention that I've started making this new army on one of the islands in the middle of our territory, because I thought I'll take this island that has a max level garrison building and put even more stuff in it. That way we have this bastion. Anyone sweeping through the island is going to really struggle to get through this one part in particular. And as it happens, one turn later, someone actually does show up at this exact spot. It's a half stack of troops from Pythia, the Achilles faction. As it happens, that half stack though is pretty good. Our garrison is only equal to them when I try to sally. It's because they have some endgame units. These silver armoured guys are like the tier 5 unit that we haven't even got to yet. So they just have loads of good troops, and looking at their stat cards, their stats are also severely boosted. They will like double what they normally are. So I'm guessing their general's good, or their faction has good traits and good god favour. All sorts of things can boost your stats in this game. So seeing that, my initial enthusiasm to sally goes away, and I just leave the situation as a siege to see if they'll attack the walls that would give us an advantage. Anyway, as for Sarpedon, nothing has come to stop him so far, so we continue on our quest through Sparta, and we arrive at this town which is undefended, thankfully, so this is going to be a free capture, less than half a stack of garrison. We'll just kill them instantly. The reason we want to take a town rather than just raise it or something is so that we have a base on the mainland. Now, when I go off to fight the rest of Sparta's territory, we have somewhere to go back to if it all goes wrong, somewhere to try and defend if we're overwhelmed, that sort of thing. And obviously a great target is Sparta itself. It happens to be next to Etis here, so we'll make that our next target and see how Sparta reacts. Meanwhile, we're moving west through Crete, going to move right up to the edge of my region here, could move a bit further, but if we stay in our region, we'll grab some healing on those axe troops. We can see the enemy King Menelaus is sitting in the next settlement off to the west. Also, my new army is mostly ready, the good part of it's ready. The rest of it I was going to fill out with trash, which I can do closer to the front line, so I move on up to defend the nearest settlement to Knossos, and we can also see there's stuff building up there from Sparta as well, so need to face off against them in the near future. As for the Pythia situation, they don't attack in their first turn of siege, and now because I was in the one siege attrition turn situation, if I don't attack them this turn, half my troops will die and then we'll definitely lose. So I was thinking of sallying again, but when I saw their stats again, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is going to be too depressing because they're just going to kill us. Once the unit has enough morale, you can't surround and pound them. You're just increasing their DPS by attacking from multiple sides, by allowing more of their unit to attack you at once. So I didn't really want to go for anything, even with our overwhelming numbers. I decided to go for a gambling option instead, because we can still avoid siege attrition if they attack us during their turn, before our next turn comes about, that is. So I just left that situation. Sarpedon moves on up to Sparta, no resistance so far, so we'll carry on next turn. And I also moved west with our Cretan army, because where Menelaus was defending, he's disappeared, leaving a barely defended town, so we'll just sweep in and take that for free. We've now got at least half the island under our control. Capturing this reveals the rest of the province it's in, so there are 3 more towns to the west in a nice line. The next one is the most heavily defended one, so that's going to be the choke point we have to break through to finish the island off. Although that said, I don't plan to go in that direction. You can see I'm bringing the spy back towards Knossos because I wanted to deal with this situation before we finish the island off. They are recruiting armies here. If I had 2 armies, or even an army and 1 officer separately, I could besiege the town and then do the siege garrison cancelling thing to kill everybody outside. As it stands, I just stood around and recruited more trash while I waited. And then my gamble with this Pythian siege did pay off, because they went for the assault during their turn, meaning we're still at full strength and we'll have our walls. So this balanced engagement will be in our favour, I guess, because the walls aren't taken into account with these balance bars. In particular, the towers, which will shoot at the enemy, and even though they're going to be super high armour, high defence units and stuff, the towers probably are armour piercing in some way. I don't actually know, they just do some unknown amount of damage. We do see a couple of corpses appear as the enemy are walking at us, so they're certainly not invincible to tower fire. Once they get close, of course, we can also start hitting them with slinger attacks and then jav attacks. Jav attacks in particular have some level of armour piercing damage, don't remember what it is, but it means they can't block all of the attack's damage, which is handy. Also, of course, they don't have shields, so they can't block it that way either. meaning we'll get kills at this stage in the battle at the very least, and you can see the balance bar is actually moving in our favour quite rapidly. We're picking up quite a few kills. Their ram pushers have some interesting spears. I noted there's some kind of marines unit with these duck-billed spears. I wonder how effective those actually are. They are going to get the ram to our gates though and break on in, so soon some melees will start. Notice the enemy's generic Jav units have shields, that's pretty good. We can get shields on some of our Jav units, our heavy Anatolian skirmishers, which I don't tend to use. Here is one unit of them in particular coming with the garrison, so the technology exists, we just can't get most of our guys to pick up a piece of wood. That would really help out the survivability of our javeliniers if they would think of that. Anyway, the enemy survivability was too low. They do break into the town, but they rout once they're inside. I won't bother showing the rout phase. Here's the result. We killed most of them as they ran away. So that battle ended up going really well. A good first encounter with our antagonist faction. We'll see if they come back stronger next time. We also now arrive at Sparta. It does have though a really good garrison. It's packed out with troops and troops of high quality as well. They have an advantage on the balance bar, so making a siege attack is going to be hard. Probably going to want to siege them out. We'll make a bunch of rams and just get waiting there. We'll see what happens eventually. Now, as mentioned, we're going to not go west on Crete and bring our force back over to the east towards Knossos. This will mean we're under risk of counterattack from the west, but I was like, fine, they can just be delayed by counterattacking us and we'll come back stronger once we've dealt with this. Had this genius plan where I realized there's a little spot we can stand on and put an ambush in this forest that will cover both of the roads going both to the south and the east from the main settlement. So whichever way they go, if they attack us, we can ambush them here. This failed enormously, like most of my plans, because I guess they saw the ambush, and what they do is first send an army to besiege the town behind me, then they attack me with their second army. That's a very bad setup. I retreat. They pursue and attack me again, giving us a better setup, but we can't escape from this one. Annoyingly, they've done the siege garrison cancelling thing on me this time, the classic exploit, so my garrison is actually right there, but it can't participate in the fight because it's under siege, even though the force technically besieging them has left to come and participate in the fight. So, we're going to have to take this decisive looking battle. Again, I rushed into this one since the enemy did have some slingers at their disposal, just wanted to get some fights going fast, with 2 units of chariots going up either flank for all important antics. In the meantime, we need to survive in the middle, which is, well, a bit of an unknown in this game because who knows how many seconds our units will give us, so we need to be very careful with the chariot micro and make sure it goes off. And in this battle, I did play the entire thing in slow motion to make the micro happen. On the right flank, I've already run through 1 unit of slingers, and I'm sending some guys to just delay an enemy unit over there to keep them out of the fight. Now the chariots come into the centre to get to work. We've already routed a couple of enemy units, even before all of the units have engaged in the melee, and the same can be said on our side as well. People are dying fast, the chariots need to do something. First, we're going to take out all these slingers and kill them before they do too much damage. They've also got, though, some Jav Cav back here, a new unit. And those guys, well, didn't prove that effective. They probably could take down the chariots if they jabbed hard enough, but it seemed like they didn't do all that much. Here's me trying to chariot charge an infantry unit from the front. That doesn't really do anything by the looks of things. Although it's not the from the front aspect that's the problem there. I think it's just that now that we're charging units that have armor stats, it doesn't do very much. It looks like it does quite a lot. Their health doesn't go down very much though when they get run over. I'm guessing the chariot running over thing doesn't count as armor piercing damage. So units with armor just sort of get hit, fall over and get back up. However, it does still inflict a morale penalty for being attacked from the rear when you do this, so there's a chance of forcing things to rout and then being able to do more damage, which has happened to some units at the back there. We've kind of cleared up the backline fight. The slingers are out of here, so now we just need to focus on these melees. Here's the main blob in the center, the most important fight, and we plow into it with a bunch of chariots. Again, probably not doing that much damage, but it does cause some routing among the things already damaged by the fight. And now all the things that are trying to escape will be continually run over as they go. That will stop them from coming back and will gradually kill them as well. So that's going to really help out. That's the decisive moment of the battle, really. We also had pretty good luck here with our hero. We were able to gradually push the enemy hero's health down and get him to rout, and then we just chase him off the field here. I'm not sure if that's the actual leading hero. They have two because one's a garrison leading hero. Maybe killing either of them gives them the morale debuff for losing a hero. Not quite sure. Anyway, across the field you can see that everyone's dying, including our men, but the chariots are still alive, so all they need to do is run over everything. And we're able to rout enemy units at relatively high strength. That shielded spear unit still had like 75% strength when they were routed by that chariot rear attack, so it really is quite effective. And obviously as they go, they'll then be killed, much easier than killing them in the actual melees or trying to use armor piercing damage on infantry or something like that, which just doesn't seem to get results. So soon all of our surviving troops are just chasing routing things around the field. Their hero didn't rout for ages, but eventually he did as well. And then I'm going to play the battle to the absolute conclusion to absolutely maximize the number of kills we get from this victory. And we eventually get to this result here. It's only a Pyrrhic victory, or a Cadmean victory I should say. We lost more than half of our troops because those melees did suck in general, but you can see the chariots just pulled us through, taking barely any damage and absolutely wiping out enemy units. With this win, the siege of the nearby settlement will also be broken, so that's an added bonus. And that's just going to turn the tables in our favour in general. It'll take us many turns to actually replenish that army we just used back to full strength. So we might need to do stuff to stop the enemy recruiting another army before we're really ready to counterattack. But we've certainly got an opportunity here. Although as you can see, Menelaus is now on the field, and he comes and foolishly doesn't take that territory he just attacked. He mistakenly sacks it and then walks backwards. So that doesn't change the strategic situation very much, which is nice. Next we'll want to double team Knossos and try to finish off the remnants of those armies. We were almost set back a notch by this spy. A spy has found my army over here and is trying to poison it. Luckily it didn't happen that turn. But I mention all this because this spy is going to slow down our Cretan campaign a lot. I'll rant about that in the next part. Spies, overpowered, confirmed, but we'll come back to see the true damage later. Right now what I'm trying to do is avoid any such mishaps by getting my spy to take this guy out. There's about a 40% chance of taking out an agent even at level 1. So I thought, well, we'll just keep spamming that, because while the chance of failure is quite high, the chance of your agent dying while failing is quite low. So we can just spam the failures, and eventually we might get rid of them, unless they turn around and start doing the same thing back to us, and then it's just an RNG battle. But I'm getting ahead of myself, we'll come back to that next time. For now, let's leave things right here. I've used my damaged army to besiege the town. The full strength army moves up and kills the hero standing outside, so that's just him out of the picture. But yes, some of the troops are on the inside, and as you may recall, there's a decent garrison inside as well. So even with our 1.5-ish stacks here, it's only a balanced setup, and making that attack would probably be very costly for us, so we're going to want to siege them down if we can. I'm going to do a bit of a switcheroo here because I wanted my more powerful army to be leading the siege. And also I was considering sending the weak one back to replenish. The issue with that plan is that the enemy could sally and potentially beat my better army with all of their garrison stuff. Anyway, basically we're going to leave them under siege, and we'll come back to this siege in part 6, where my foreshadowing about agent actions will come into play, and we're going to have an agent war for Crete.